Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Two Pillars podcast this time around. Well, it's the Four Pillars podcast actually, but it's me and Tyler here today. George is enjoying the wonderful land of Devon, which is my home county, so we'll let him off. He's got a well-earned break.
Yeah.
As for James, I don't know.
I think he's away as well. I think they're all away. They're different places.
James is away, but in a different place.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure they're in different places.
And so that leaves us to hold down the fort. And it's been a while since I've been on a podcast. So,
well, when I knew 2 weeks ago, James was like, I won't be at the next one. I'm like, yeah, no stress. And then hearing George, then I started getting worried. And you haven't been on the last couple of weeks. So I was like, I started planning like for at least an hour there. I was like, okay, if it's just me, I'll still do it. And let's see what chaos we can create. And I was trying to come up with ideas of how to make it insane if it had to be me. Thank God that didn't have to happen. And
you'd just have to do like, script it out, and then you'd have to pretend to be all of us. It'd be like a 10-hour project. You'd be sat there and you'd have a full-blown conversation between the lot of us, and you'd have to count the seconds in which you said things and then the breaks you gave yourself for your other recording to then go and say the things. And I think that would have been, it would have actually been kind of a stroke of genius if you managed to pull that one off.
Yeah, it would have been unbelievable, especially to get the timing and pauses right, because if you get it wrong once,
you get it wrong for the rest of the bit.
It's fucked.
But that would have made it
funny. Me doing that, because that's how I committed to, like, it's going to be an hour-long one. I'd have to literally be listening to the recording whilst doing the other recording, right? Because you can have the headphones on, so it actually wouldn't be that hard. You'd read the script, you'd have the recording on one screen, you'd be all right. You might fuck it up a couple times, like be a bit too slow. He starts talking while I do it. I'm like, oh, fuck, you know. But
that it would be funny. Like I think it would have been a masterstroke, and I think it would have been funnier if it did get more and more fucked as it went along. I think that would have added to it more than removed from it. But my idea was, since the running theme of this, or the running gag as you will, is George doesn't miss an episode. As I was thinking, we just give Josh a shout to do his impression of George.
Oh, that is a horrific impression
for the entire thing.
So funny. That would be.
That's the point.
That's another stroke of genius right there. There's a lot of ideas there.
You could have done both. You could have been speaking to yourself twice over and then have Josh as George just to add a little bit. It would be so fucked. It would just be a mess. But no, George isn't here. We're lost.
I'm a little nervous, you know?
Yeah, no, me too.
I'm a little nervous to know George. And usually, like, I don't know, I never get nervous because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I've done so many. But for some reason, the fact that George is on here, I'm like, this is going to be different. And and it hasn't been just you and I in a while. It's been obviously James and I do as always, and there's been quite a few times it's just been George and I on this show.
So it's refreshing.
It's been a while since it's been just you and I. I think probably since maybe... Have we done a podcast together on any of your stuff? Maybe it would have been like 2020.
It would have been when
we did a couple of things. We did a couple of things because you co-host the As Always podcast with me once. But we've done
I guest hosted the As Always podcast, and that would have been it. Like, I mean, as far as recording goes between me and you only, I think that was the last time. Since then, we've had the Four Pillars podcast, and there's always been at least somebody else here. This is the only time I've done a Four Pillars podcast where it's only me and someone else rather than me and at least two others. So this is a new experience for me, honestly. I'm not too fussed by that. I think it'll be a fun episode in which I get an opportunity to say things, which is my main, the reason why I go quiet is because the conversation derails to, like, I don't know, like George's recommended real quick. And as much as it's funny as fuck, I don't know what to say half the time because I know I'm a bit of a weird guy, but some of that shit makes me feel normal. And then there's discussions about Kingdom Hearts and things like that. And as much as I love hearing you guys talk about it, but I don't have a first fucking clue, so I just stay quiet. You know, so it does feel good to not have to worry about that for at least one episode.
That's true.
So George, stay in Devon. It's my homeland. You're more than welcome. He's in the same building, and I'm not gonna.
Didn't he run into your dad on the street today?
not my dad. No,
Not your dad.
No, my half brother's dad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, half
so,
brother's dad. Okay, I must have misread the conversation because I sort of clicked. I was like,
yes,
who are you talking to, George?
He's the dad of one of my brothers, but he is not my dad. He's a nice guy. I won't disclose too much information, but basically he's staying in the same building as him. I noticed that because he posted a picture. I looked at that and went, hang on, I know that place. So I was like, hey, George, is it this place? And I looked at the balcony of it and I went, that's right next door.
That's so crazy.
Turns out they're temporarily neighbours. They're in the same building. Because it's like flats, basically.
That's
the same
fucking
building.
weird.
And I thought, well, that's such a small world. Yeah. You know what I mean? The UK is small, but it's fucking huge. For a small island, Great Britain is fucking huge.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today with how, I was thinking about how if you live in the UK, I guess you wouldn't need to travel as far. You wouldn't travel as far for things.
Oh, you would. Oh, would you? It feels far.
I feel like you would. It
feels far.
Oh, it feels far. Because I feel like just to go... I went for like a day hike today. Great fucking time. Something I do regularly. I drive up and down the coast all the time. Quite a far fucking distance. But that feels like a normal thing we do here. Couple 100 Ks.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that is basically... From here to probably Devon, where I am now in Greater Manchester, it's probably it's about 250 miles, so it's probably about 400 kilometres.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So that's a lot further. That's twice.
But the UK is a bit different. The roads are really laid out in a strange way. So it's not that far, but it's very populated, so you'll run into traffic, and it will take a while.
I love that. I love that for us.
Yeah, man. Well, it has to be done. And once you get off the roads, in failing to be far, more often than not, it's fucked. So you've got narrow roads and things like that. We're used to it. We know the etiquette of doing these roads.
Oh, that's going to be a struggle for me driving over there.
Mate, it's no problem. I'll talk you through it when you're over, and you'll be happy days. I don't think you're going to have many issues with that around Northamptonshire anyway. But you'll have no problem with narrow roads. Basically, it's which side of the hazard's on. Say, for example, if there are cars parked on the street. If they're on the other side, you have right of way. If they're on your side, you just hold back if somebody's coming your way. If there are two cars coming your way, hold back. If it's one, first come, first serve. It's very simple. Everyone's very polite. If there's one thing that UK drivers are, it's polite, which is weird.
Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't expect that from the UK, polite drivers. I feel like...
Oh, no, yeah.
It changes state to state in Australia,
You get your dickheads, but...
Yeah, I love my state. I love Queensland, but fuck their shit at driving. They're so bad at it.
Yeah.
They're not good. In fact, they're terrible. They're the worst state in Australia, I reckon, at driving.
Well, I always find that the worst places for driving in the UK will not be like the fucked up country lanes with the narrowness or whatever. It's always the cities. Yeah. Avoid driving in a city like the bloody plague. You don't need to, for one.
Yeah. But I mean, I drive... See, that's what I'm used to driving. I drive in cities.
Well, I mean, it's a different, I suppose it's a different vibe to, say, I presume you're used to driving Brisbane, right?
Yeah.
It's slightly different because of how much space by land you've got bigger roads, basically.
We do. Well, we definitely have nice sized roads. Definitely.
Say you went into London. Yeah. It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah. No, I bet. I don't plan on driving in the middle of London, I'll tell you that
Yeah,
right
you
now.
don't, because they'll charge you anyway.
Not my plans.
I will say, I don't mind driving Manchester. It's just you're not going to get anywhere very quickly. You might as well walk. When it comes to cities, it's tough. But when you're on the country lanes, you should be fine.
It's just crazy looking at a map of England. And when you look at like Google Maps, when you look at roads,
you just see spaghetti.
Dude, because because I think I went on Google Maps and I went on highlighted, like I selected where roads are to highlight as like blue. And in Australia, it just looks like a couple of veins. And then you go to the UK and the whole country's just blue. It's like, that's how many, if you zoom out far enough, it's just like, that's how many roads there are. It's like, is there any space for houses? There's just roads everywhere.
Yeah,
every inch of that country is fucked.
The roads are everywhere because it's a very big country for a very small island, you know? I think that's the best way to describe it. So you've got a lot of transport, and you've got a lot of roads, and you've also got a lot of small buildings and small houses. Like we live in small houses over here, don't we? Yeah. So it's not too bad. I think the more you zoom in, the more you realise that there is space between the roads. It's not like, say, Australia, where you're going to get hundreds of miles of untapped countryside. You know.
Yeah.
You'll be. Wherever you are here, there's a road. It might not be a very good one, but it's there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the difference. This place has been thoroughly deforested for civilization, basically. So it's a shame, but it also means we can drive everywhere. So there's that too. Yeah.
It's a pretty unbelievable country when you think about it.
It has layers.
There's a lot of weird, like, it's the more I get to know about England and the people from England, the more I just love you guys, like, for so many reasons. Even the things that are just fucked about you, I'm like, nah, they're all right. Like, I love them, and I feel like even when it comes to like international football, because Australia's not the best at football in the world, but we're good at other sports, but
cricket.
We don't tend to. We'll fuck you up at cricket. That was
yeah. Well, to be fair, I always judge the best cricket by what can send me to sleep the fastest. So
how dare you?
If you can send me to sleep quick, then your cricket's bang on.
How dare you?
No, it's relaxing. It's relaxing. It's not like boring. Well, it is, but it's relaxing.
I would hate it too if my country sucked at it so bad. Like, I
don't even watch it. Like, all I know is that
we
it's really
into the earth in the Ashes last year. So that's all I'm just.
I don't even know that. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. All I know is that it's like a repetitive thing, and
but you know what the Ashes are, where England plays Australia.
I know what the Ashes are. I just don't pay attention to it. It's like I know what Wimbledon. I know what Wimbledon is. I know what tennis is. That doesn't mean I pay attention to that. I know. I don't pay attention to most sports. For me, is it coming home? Yes, no. If the answer is no, see you next year.
Do you consider yourself a patriotic person in the sense of, like, do you love your country? Do you think about it, or do you just not care?
I love my county where I'm originally from. I love Devon, but as far as the UK or England, shall we say specifically, is patriotic to the degree of, I mean, I'll support England to the fucking World Cup or the Euros or whatever, but when for the past 3 years your prime minister's been Boris Johnson, who gets about wearing a discount Donald Trump wig from fucking Poundland, it's kind of hard to be patriotic, especially when he's fumbling through interviews and getting people killed with COVID. You know, I always struggle with it. It's a weird one, because I mean I wouldn't choose to be from somewhere else. Like, probably never in a million years. It's who I am. You know, I am from the UK. That I can't change that. I won't change that. I wish the country was maybe a little bit better than it has been, in my opinion. Yeah. But it is my country, you know. Like, I suppose that's that. It's more a case of, can I change that? Which the answer is no. So I guess in that sense, I consider myself loyal to the crown. I was gonna say, but fuck that. Mate, listen, I would give Philip a tang fast stick. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose, but it's not like I'm always gonna sit and go like, I don't sit here and go, fuck, I love this country very often. I don't get that sort of like vibe. I just get, this is where I'm from. This is where my beliefs and my loyalties lie within a degree. Does it always line up with what government's doing? Maybe not. Does it always line up with sports? It's more a case of, I can't necessarily change that. I just have to this is where I live. I'm better to support where I live, you know, I'm better to believe in where I live than to not, because I can't change that aspect of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I could move somewhere else, but it's a rigmarole. But it is where I'm from.
Yeah, that's interesting. I always wonder that about people, because I'm pretty unashamedly,
it's not a very patriotic country.
I love my country. I fucking adore it.
I've never been to your country, and I love your country.
Yeah,
I need to fix that. I need to go Australia.
Mate, you got to come over. Look, there's things I don't like about it. Like, there's good and bad everywhere in the world, right? I'd never claim that this country's perfect or anything. Far from it, but man, I fucking love it. I love everywhere. I like this. I love, like, I feel very similar about New Zealand as well. I love the nation. I love the people. I think when it comes to anything international, for the most part, like, I feel like we're well represented, and whether it's people in pop culture that are in Hollywood, musicians, athletes, we're well represented. Government, not always, but that's fucking everywhere. But, you know, our people, who we are, is, you know, I feel proud of, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, forgive me for asking, but I think I remember this detail somewhere. But you are half Kiwi, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. My father was born in New Zealand, so I love New Zealand too. And they're our sister nation, anyways. And we're very close.
Tit for tat.
We're very close. Well, I mean, our armies fight together and everything. Our biggest, like, national holiday in Australia, I feel, is Anzac Day. And that's an Australian and New Zealand holiday of, like, remembrance for when our armies fought in the First World War. It was pretty much our first international war for both of us, and it stands for Australian New Zealand Army Corps. So it was we fight as one. Like, that's who we are. That's like, we're not. It's not like I feel like it's a stronger in some ways than Ireland to the UK.
Like, Ireland and the UK
I feel like
have a very checkered history.
But that's what I mean. It's not a neighbour country that someone might be like, well, they're neighbours, they might have fights, and they're saying, no, there's no fights. There's no like, tension. I mean, there is, but it's more about sport and rivalry. It's not real. You know what I mean? It's like siblings. It's like a sibling rivalry. It's not like no one's getting murdered. You know what I mean? No. There's not like Ireland or the UK, and it's not...
Oh,
you know,
Ireland,
it's not a
Canada.
It's not a Canada, US.
Complicated tin of worms.
No,
but it boils down to this.
Why not?
The colonial UK, let's say, you know, the United Kingdom, when it was out invading everywhere, didn't have much respect for other cultures, and that ignorance has certainly reared its ugly head in various different ways over the years. So the UK finds it difficult to make friends as a result of that. There are some places that hate us.
We love you here. Like,
some places that love us.
I don't feel like we necessarily love an English. I feel like we're so used to you over here. It's like, it's just an English person. Like, that's so...
Yeah, because loads of us are over there.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah, because it's one of the, you know, it's one of the biggest countries for English or British expats going, you know, like, loads of people go over there.
Like, best friends in the world that is in Australia is English.
Yeah. Is his name Kevin?
No, her name is Georgia. It's like one of my best mates' wives. And his parents are from England as well. So, like, they're both fucking English.
Yeah. No, it's mad. We get everywhere. We're like cockroaches. You can't kill us. And you can't get rid of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm from. I'm from Ireland and England and Scotland, somewhere down the line. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Not Welsh, though.
You've got some origins in there. See, I did a DNA test on that Ancestry website to see what my results were.
My brother did, so we know.
My dad suggested it. Looking back, that's kind of strange, but he suggested I give it a go. I'm not sure what he was planning to get out of that. But
it's interesting, right?
I suppose it's interesting, but when your dad's asking for a DNA test, you know, you start asking questions.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, he's just like, after all these years, I'm ready to know the truth, you know?
No, I'm definitely his son. I give everything random nicknames, and if that doesn't prove it, then anything does. We're currently looking after a dog named Ruby, and immediately, as soon as it entered the house, it had about 6 nicknames.
Oh, God.
That's me. I'll give everything a nickname. But yeah, no, I've lost my train of thought. So anyway, I did this DNA test to see where my ancestry would stem from. And I was like, I'm expecting the family tree to effectively be like, you know, kind of very Devonshire in styling. And, you know, if anyone asks, what does that mean? Well, I'm thinking a little bit fucked, to be honest with you. So I checked it. Turns out I'm not as inbred as I thought. But most of my ancestry is still from, you know, England, specifically the southwest. However, there's touches of Irish and there's touches of fucking Norwegian. How did that get there?
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah.
But there's touches of, say, Irish or Scandinavian to keep it nice and broad. And yeah, for the most part, it's just focused in the southwest of England. So I'm just thinking, yeah, we've been here for a while. So I'm mostly from the southwest. I live in the northwest now, so that's so so if I ever reproduce, I've definitely expanded the gene pool. But you know, the southwest is where I'm from, more or less fully. So and any other percentages of my ancestry and my blood are negligible. So there's that, I suppose. I wouldn't say I'm a purebred West Country boy or whatever, because I don't give a fuck. It's just a DNA test. But I do find it funny that, you know, I find it interesting when people talk about their ancestry and it's coming from all different countries, and I'm like, yeah, all of my heritage is from Devon. yeah,
that's so funny. That's so crazy.
At least patrilineally, you know. But as far as my mum's concerned, she's originally from the county over, but it's still West Country. So, you know, is what it is.
Well, at some point, you know, my family obviously came from somewhere else. I
thought they always
as far as I'm aware, I have no Indigenous Australian blood at all. So yeah, obviously my ancestors in the last 200 years came from somewhere else, and mostly it's from the UK, like UK Ireland. And then there's like definitely Scandinavian, Norwegian, a little bit of French and Belgium, and the last one is of course 6%.
There was
6% Jewish, 6% Jewish. So it's
6%. So therefore,
it's good to know that I'm chosen. Well, I'm just chosen by God. That's what that means.
Yeah, exactly. That means you're 6% chosen by God.
It just made me feel really good. Well, you either are chosen by God or you aren't. The percentage doesn't matter. I could be 1% Jewish. I'm still Jewish. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, Ethan, you've got to respect that I'm actually a minority.
Well, okay then, Tyler. I suppose that's fair enough.
And also chosen by God.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that part. I'll warm up to it, but I'll definitely, I'll accept you as 6% minority, whatever that means. Yeah. Okay. So your family came from all over a little bit, really, and that's the thing.
I was oppressed. My people were oppressed. That's what it means.
Okay. How the fuck do I move on from that? I'm just
trying to make you as uncomfortable as possible right now.
I'm from the country that probably fucking oppressed you. So
probably. Hey, exactly. I was
tread on eggshells.
I was having a full conversation because Sheps is Jewish, so one of the tribe, and Eddie's obviously got families Muslim. So we were just cracking some very tense religious jokes at each other from that history.
That is a private conversation.
No. It wasn't like anything serious.
It wouldn't have been serious.
It wasn't even bad. It was more of just mentioning that fact that there might be some tension here. That was all we sort of said about it, We just addressed the tension, and I just laughed about it because there's obviously no real tension because it's
there's never tension with Eddie.
It's a fairy in the sky that's not real that everyone believes in. It's just a bit different,
Well, I've since abandoned God. Turns out,
you got a brain. So, with the greatest respect to everyone else that does believe them.
No, people can believe in whatever imaginary friend they like.
They can, but like, I'm not gonna like play around with you. Like, it could be real. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna play the game with you. You're more than welcome to believe it. I fully respect it. I respect you as a person. I think people need things to believe in to get through life. Whatever you need to get through life, do what you got to do. But I'm not gonna play along. Like,
there are two ways you can go with my beliefs. Like I could either go the atheist route, and that's, God's not real, that's it. And then there's my more agnostic thinking process where it's like, if God was real, he fucking left a long time ago to start again.
Yeah, he did. He's fucked. He fucked off a minute ago. I reckon pretty early into it, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he ticked off real quick.
I reckon it was right when they started making this like cult to him, and this was before they started burning people in Rome and that. I'm not looking at any historical sources. I'm just going off at the top of my head with what I'm thinking. I started a history channel, and for the most part, I try to refer to it loosely unless I'm researching it specifically, because it takes me a lot of looking into something for things to actually just suddenly become like memory.
Yeah,
so,
which has been going amazingly as well. And we did, I know you weren't here, but we did shout it out, talk about it for a bit on the last podcast.
I'll have to watch it back.
We're talking about that first episode, how great it was and how great it's been doing.
Oh, this next one.
Now, you've been pumping it out. Like, has it become because it took so long and now it feels like you're just pumping them out so fast. Like, I know you had a bunch in the back burner prepared, but it feels like you've found a rhythm to it that you can just do them faster and you've got a good plan and it's just flowing a lot faster.
Well, you see how it works with YouTube channels is you're better off having the content there so that when you grow, people click on the channel, they see what you offer. They see what you're about. That's how you get the more loyal subscribers. Because if they can see what exactly it is you're offering and the consistency in that. We had an idea for consistency. So we've got goals, and it may slow down a little bit, this rhythm. Because in the end of the day, we don't have any intent on keeping it up to the upload schedule it's on now. We just want to get that content that we've pre-prepared and that we've been preparing. We want to get that out there, you know, so that it's out there, really. That way, people can see what we're providing, and as we upload more, you know, there's content to be watched, so it doesn't like grow too slowly. Like, I don't mind how quick or slow it grows, but as a business model as well. When people look at it, they'll be able to watch a video, click on that video, well, click on the channel and see that there's dozens of other videos just like it ready to be watched.
Yeah.
It's about having something to offer.
Yeah, and they're long-term videos that can get views for
oh yeah, well, it's history, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unless it happened 5 minutes ago, you know, it's not going to increase or decrease in relevance. It might find itself being referred to a lot more in common media, but I don't think it will make too much of a big deal as to whether or not we make the video this week or next week, because once it hits the algorithm, it could happen in a year, it could happen in 2, it could never happen. But if it hits the algorithm, it's just going to be as impactful whenever. So we're not too fussed about getting the content out there. And if we have to go into a slower period afterwards, that's perfectly fine as well. I've got a gaming channel to fall back on and make some content there as well. And then I go back and we go again, and it's great. And I mean, over the winter, sorry, especially, it's going to be particularly difficult to get on location with all the shoddy weather and the limited daylight. So that's going to be a slower period than, say, the summer, where we can go out to all sorts. You've got castles open, you've got other places open, you've got great sunlight, you've got long days, you've got limited chance of rain and your equipment getting damaged. If there's one thing playing video games and making content on video games stands apart from, say, making content in real life, is you don't have to worry about damaging your equipment doing it. So when you're going out and you've got expensive cameras worth thousands and, you know, microphone kits worth hundreds and all that, you don't really want it to rain.
No, that's
while the best kit is waterproof to a degree, it's not. You know, you don't really want to risk it. It's kind of like scuffing your car or something.
So
like
it can
that.
sort of fuck up your day if it starts raining. You're like, well, we're not shooting today.
And we've shot in the rain before, and in like drizzle. Drizzle's fine. If it starts hammering it down, we can't shoot.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I would love to get a camera that could, because I think rain would look amazing in some of these shots.
Yeah.
Because it's a shame.
Yeah,
it's
you've
like
done a
the
great
only
job
reason
shooting it as well. That's been a real highlight of some
oh
of those
yeah, we've
episodes.
got some.
Because obviously some of them, it's a lot of, you know, you guys having a chat or going through some sort of historic.
Yeah, there's an
stuff,
anecdotal aspect.
Yeah.
We just try to make it not the focus. I think that the first video we made it a bit too heavily on the focus. We liked it. We thought it was a good sort of like opening. It's what we could afford to do, because we couldn't get back out on location and do it on location. We went. We sent Connor to fucking Ukraine.
Yeah, you sent to the Ukraine, which now just sounds so fucking absurd. You shouldn't be laughing at it, but you know what I mean. Like, it's an absurd concept to be like, yeah, we just sent Connor to the Ukraine. Oh, yeah,
he went in
a while
December,
ago.
so
No, it was actually just like 2 months ago. We're just like, and he's just like, sure. You know, he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't watch the news. So
no, it was a couple months before the invasion. He went. So he got through a bit of skin of his teeth.
The way you said that so casually.
Well, I mean, he's not dead. He's not dead. I'll share with
before you said invasion. It's not about Connor. Just before the invasion, no big deal.
Well, I mean, I am quite a crass individual, but I'll show you some shots from the from this next video we got going, which is on the Pendle witch trials, which may or may not be out before this episode airs, and you can see sort of like what we're going for. Like I've added some
those are great shots
to it, and I thought, But see, we like to take our time. We like to do things slowly, and this one doesn't have the cinema bars, but you get the vibe of what we're going for.
Who'd have thought, after all these years, Connor would be the face of a History Channel?
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's already a fucking cult of personality to it,
and it works. And it works. I'm like, who'd have thought that's what his calling was? You know what I mean? You're the face of a History Channel.
He's a busy fella, Connor, but he does love history, and we get along well. Like, if there's one thing that stands apart between me and Connor is I struggle with being in front of a camera in a location, especially when there are people about. It's hard. Yeah, Connor doesn't give a flying fuck, so it makes it a little easier, because if somebody else don't give a flying fuck, then neither do I.
Yeah. You totally agree with you. It really loosens you up when there's someone else that sort of breaks the ice for you, and you feel like is drawing the more of the attention.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Connor's very good at drawing most of the attention, and, you know, he also is quite passionate about history, so, you know, obviously it works out.
Yeah, and you feed off it.
Yeah, and then it also helps to have somebody else who's interested in getting this channel going, because obviously getting out on location, shooting things, if I was doing it alone, I'd be feeling very fucking lonely, you know?
Yeah, and you wouldn't be as motivated. It's hard to be motivated, but when it's fun, because you do it with your friends, it's fun. There's no better project, man. This will be the best project you've ever done in your YouTube career, like, and its big part is you're doing it with your friend in person, being creative, being collaborative. The best thing I've ever done as a content creator online was the album was Den Sessions with David, because it was just something that meant a lot to both of us. You shared that passion, you shared that project.
You'll have to talk me through. You used a bit of with your you filmed that, didn't you?
Yeah, all the videos for his album, and I produced my wardrobe over there. Half the album was recorded in.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a low light recording in it, if I recall correctly. And, you know, I was very impressed by how it looked, especially now. I probably didn't give a fuck at the time, but especially now that I'm getting out on location, I'm shooting things, and I'm thinking, how can I make this look better? Yeah. Like, I will definitely tap into some advice.
100%. I mean, I've studied film. Like, I like to think I'm okay. You know, I'm not that it says much. You can study anything. I didn't study film. What I mean by I studied film, and I love it. Like, I did it because I loved it, not just because. And I love shooting stuff and getting better. I'm not the best or anything, but it's
not about being the best.
Yeah, but I love all the videos I did with David. Like, I'm really proud of all those. The Future Days one we did for The Last of Us has over 100,000 views. Like, and that was like the third video on the whole channel that we did.
If there's one thing I have learned about getting advice from people who do a similar thing to you, it's getting advice from the biggest expert going isn't going to be the most helpful, because they're going to speak in a language you don't fucking understand. Yeah. So I always look to somebody who's more knowledgeable, more skilled than I, and I go from there ordinarily. And that's kind of my preference, because truth be told, you know, like, I could ask a massive expert, but A, I don't know one. B, they'd speak in a language I don't understand yet.
Yeah, for sure. And I think
probably never will.
And with those videos, we just got better at it. Each one was better than the one before it. Like, the three we did for, because there's 7 songs on Den Sessions, but we filmed videos for 3. And, like, those are the 3 best videos we did. The Art of Letting Go, specifically, just because what the song's about, it's the biggest song of the album. And the video of what it's about, David was about to leave to go overseas for a year. Like, he's leaving, and we had finished the album, had it all done, but I recorded the last shots of that video when we were dropping him off at the airport, and he's, like, getting up the escalator. That's all real. You know, him saying goodbye to me, him saying goodbye to his parents. Like, that's all real. And you got to add that in, and I'd shot so much behind the scenes footage, and I got to overlay a bunch of the behind the scenes footage of the 18 months we'd been working on his songs, the album, and the videos on the channel, the covers we did, all that sort of stuff. Like, I got to show that in that one video, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's important. Like, I've got a goddamn, I've shown a couple of times, tattoo of the eagle from the blanket that is the album cover. Like, it's important. It was really special to share. It was also an important time in my life, and I changed a lot in the 18 months to 2 years. And when we got that album out, like, a song in there was for, you know, a past relationship. And the last 2 weeks of making the album was, I was going through the breakup of it. Yeah. And it was like, so, I can't explain to you how fucking cathartic it was to be producing it. Every single night I'd get home from work and David would be here. We'd be in my room. We'd be recording, mixing, trying to put the final touches on the final songs, like, and just over and over and over again, listening to it 100 times each. And it was just, it meant a lot. And I changed a lot in that period. And it was really opened me up as well. So I think it has to be the best thing. I'm the thing I'm the most proud of, and I enjoyed, and that's why I'm like, who cares about money? Like, I want to have enough money to live and live a good life, but I'd rather do things I love. And I made $0.00. I lost money on that project, but it's still the best project I ever did, maybe in my whole life, in terms of being creative.
Yeah, I like doing things that are creative. Like, that's what I like about starting this new channel, Decades. So, like, it's not making us money yet. I have no doubts it will when we get monetized and all that, and then it'll be minimal amounts until maybe one day it's not. But it doesn't really matter. Like, I know what we're going for, and what we're going for is to make content that we want to make, and people are enjoying it, you know? I don't care if that's 10 people, 100 people, 1 million people. But it's brilliant to see people enjoying the content and, you know, showing support and all that. Because really, I went into this project with a lot of doubts. I was like, Jesus, have I bitten off more than I can chew? And turns out it's one of the easiest things I've done. One of the smoothest transitions to do anything is to start making history content, because history is my only A level. I'm not particularly academic, but I love history, and I really enjoy every single video here. Like, a lot of them, they aren't even, I'm not even involved with the actual video itself. Like, Connor will go off, he'll do his thing, he'll come back with a script and say, right, I'm recording this, and I'll be like, fair play, and then I'll edit it together. I just love editing. I love seeing the project come together. Yeah. So I may not be at the front of every single video going, but I think that's kind of what I'm going for. It's a little bit of a detachment from the brand that is my gaming channel. It's
so interesting that you say that, because if I feel a similar way to you after a while. I think it might be because after you do years of being like on the tools and on the front end and worrying about that sort of thing, because you and I have both done that for a long time with our own YouTube channels, I feel like there's definitely a point where you're like, oh, I love being the producer of the content and I don't have to be the face or the voice necessarily. Fully. Not
necessarily, but certainly to an acceptable degree. Like, I do feel there's some aspect of responsibility that I should be in front of the camera. After all, you know, I'm selling this on me, because that's what people want to see as well from my channel going over. But also, you get to meet Connor, you get to meet Aiden. You know, these great friends of mine who are also hilarious as fuck and love history.
It's about
Connor
sharing
especially
with those friends,
is just hilarious. You know, like, Connor is. Like, he's just a ridiculously funny man. Like, he'd have to be. When he's also quite well travelled, so it definitely adds up. So he was over in India, and he found himself at some random retirement do. And he was telling me this story of how he pretended to be a train driver in this tiny town, and then they just sort of like accepted him and started, well, I wouldn't say they started worshipping him, but they just accepted him. They invited him to a retirement do as a guest of honour and things like that. And I thought, what the fuck, Connor? And there's pictures of him at this man's retirement do. So I'm just thinking, what the shit? He's going to have to tell that story sometime, because it is fucking ludicrous. Every single second of it is just another what story. But he always comes back with stories, does Connor. So
he seems like that sort of bloke.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who likes to travel, and when he does it in very
decides he wants to go to the
ways.
Ukraine, which just feels like a weird random place to want to go anyway.
He wanted to go to Chernobyl. He did it to go over and not necessarily to do the video. He knew he was going to for decades. You know, at the time he didn't have a name for the channel or whatever, but he knew he was going over there to do to get that footage. But he was going over there for a long weekend basically. Because he was interested in it, and that's
and I guess it's not far away. Like, it just seems for me so absurd to even get to that part of the world. It takes a lot of money and a lot of commitment for a holiday, and usually you're like, I'm gonna pick something fucking cool because I only have a couple of weeks off work to do this, and you want to go to fucking Turkey, you want to go to Greece, Italy, France, you know what I mean, Germany, Spain, and visit these beautiful cities and shit. So that's what like Australians do for big holidays. Whereas I guess for you, you're like, yeah, I could just go for the long weekend to the Ukraine. You're like, why the fuck would I choose the Ukraine if I was traveling over there?
Like, if in certain parts of the UK, you could go to France for a day trip. Like, but I love France. I've been to France probably 4 or 5 times. You know, and I like to do a video on the D-Day landing, so I'd like to go over to Normandy and sort of do that.
Yeah,
that'd be an easy. I think that'd be an easy abroad one to do, really. Maybe once everything's nice and settled proper, because there's still some business going on, and with I suppose you got a clusterfuck of things now. You've had COVID the past few years. You've had the Brexit malarkey. You know, it's not the same as it was.
No. Yep.
But I do want to go to Normandy. Do a video on the D-Day landings. Love every second of it. Hop back on the ferry, come back across to Dover, and drive home, turn it into a video. Obviously, I'd pad it out and do a bit more while I'm over there. Like, there's some breathtaking places in France. Like, you've got Mont Saint Michel, which is just the most the most Disney-looking castle you'll ever see.
Of Assassin's Creed multiplayer map fame, Mont Saint Michel. Sorry, I couldn't let us go one episode without saying the words. The fucking.
Oh, now you can put it in the tags. Well done. Yeah. No, it is the most Disney-looking castle I've ever seen, and I've been there before, and it's fucking mental. Yeah. It's brilliant, but no, I do quite enjoy France. I didn't get along with the south of France quite as well. I mean, it's hot, but there wasn't much for me to do. Since I love history, I like being on my toes, getting out and doing things.
I just sent you something. I realized that you actually feature in. I was looking at the Art of Letting Go video. You actually feature in it, Ethan.
Do I?
Yes, I sent you a screenshot. So it's do you see it? Do you see it?
I see it. I see it.
I'll send it to Josh. It's because I have the.
You have to send
so
the.
This is us recording
the
guitar in my wardrobe, and we've got one mic to one side, and there's a mic in the clothes as well.
And I'm just there. I'm making a cameo.
I have a photo of the 4 pillars of us. Printed.
Well, it's cut out George by the looks of it.
In a frame. No, George is on the right of me.
Oh,
but like as in like he's obviously in the photo, but you can't see him in the shot. You can only see Ethan on the left, James in the middle, and then me on the right.
You can see like James's head, but not much of his body.
Yes, no.
We'll have to get. Because you're coming over to the UK in like October, right? So we'll have to get another sort of lineup of us just loving it.
Yes, of how we've been weathered and changed.
It's an evolution thing. It's an evolution thing because obviously we're all a bit older. You know, we're very different to how we were 3 years ago. I would like to say. I know I certainly am.
Me too.
I've definitely adapted a couple of life experiences since then.
Yeah.
Maybe not too many, but I'm a different person. I've got a bigger beard. It just gets bigger and bigger.
Definitely huge changes in 3.5 years or 3 and a bit years.
I might just leave my beard to grow until October so I can rock up with a massive beast of a thing.
Yeah, please do. If you could.
It's going to be such a nightmare to shower with that because you have to properly get in there, and it's not the nicest feeling in the world, but we make do. Beards are worth it.
Yeah.
So I'll do that, and then we'll have a great time.
Times. I'm not sure if we'll have time to well, obviously we're going to do like a podcast together in person. I think that goes without saying, but we're sort of I certainly am not doing this for like a content trip.
No, it's this.
I want it to be, hang out and see my friends.
Yeah, we'll hang out. I mean, I'd rather just hang out.
So much shit has happened. I'd still like to, and I only want to do a podcast, not for the content sense, but just I love to have a record of those trips. Like, it's like taking a picture. I'm like, we do a podcast together, so it just feels like it's a two-bird thing. Like, I just love to have a record to be like, oh man, I miss my friends. I haven't seen them in ages. I'd love to go and watch us sit there and chat. And you know what I mean? Whereas you don't have many friends you can record that sort of thing with, because you don't just go to your friend, hey, you want to do a podcast as visiting? But we do a podcast together. So it's like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, well, of course, we'd have to do it, wouldn't we? Yeah, no, I'm down for that. But like I said, I prefer to just have a nice chilling and I'd get up to some normal stuff, you know.
Yeah, and I'll be all over. Like, I'll definitely want to I want
to go for a pint in the Brampton Holt. Granted, I'll be driving, so I'll probably just stick to Coke. But that's okay. I don't really drink that much anyway. Yeah. Like, the closest I get to drinking particularly heavy is performatively in Decades videos.
Yeah, true. Just to get the a bit of liquid courage. I don't I don't drink much really at all these days, and I'm not drinking at all at the moment up until I go on the trip. So I'm going a good couple of months with just no drinking at all. Just because I want to have a few drinks and enjoy my holiday and have a good time.
Exactly.
And I'm not used to drinking. I don't want it to be a habit. I just want it to be, cool, I do this on holidays. But yeah, I'm not much of a drinker anyway.
No, I'm not much of a drinker.
But I'd love to, if I'm at the Brampton Hold, I want a pint.
No, these days I'm...
beautiful, crisp, cold lager.
These days, I'm very much so the designated driver, if anything, and it's okay.
Yeah. We can get a taxi, mate. We can have a couple bevs. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, fuck it. A 20 quid taxi.
Yeah, mate. I'll fucking pay for it. It'll be a great time. Who gives a shit? How often does it happen? You know, like it's such a rare thing. And we've all gone through. And this is what I think of. Like, this isn't just like, oh, it's been a few years. It feels like it's been eternity because so much has happened to everyone, and it's happened to the world, where we literally, for the first time in our lives, even if we wanted to, if we had the money, we couldn't see each other. You couldn't see your friends. You couldn't do these things. You couldn't travel and see the world.
Yeah, we might as well enjoy
ourselves. You've got to fucking, dude, any of us could die any day. Let's fucking spend 20 quid in a fucking taxi so we can have a couple of bevs together, mate. I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Did I sell you on that shit, Ethan? Did I sell you on that shit? Like, I mean, come on, you sold me, but I suppose what I'm saying is around here, the taxis are about 3 quid to town, so happy days. Yeah.
But no, I got in a taxi in Northampton that one time and he took us 5 minutes up the road and said 20 quid, please. Yeah. And I thought, hang on a fucking stinking minute.
Yeah. Was that when you were with Zach?
That was when me and Zach dipped off. That was because
that man. God bless him.
I'm not the most extroverted of people. I like meeting up with friends, doing things, but if it's an environment that's loud and I can't have conversations and it's just about busting moves, unless it's a rave. If it's a rave, let's fucking go. Yeah. But besides that,
we're sort of building to the rave. I feel like it got there, but you were having a tough time with it at one point.
I just get stressed out by it. Like there's, it's just hard work. So and Zach wasn't feeling a night out either. So it's like right, we just hopped in a taxi and got back to avoid interrupting the night. It was nice, easy work, to be honest. But yeah, no. When it comes to like crowded places and things like that, I don't really care usually. Like it's not something that bothers me. But if I know I'm not going to enjoy myself, I just sort of get like fed up with it really quick. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like an anxiety thing where my head's about to blow off or something. I just lose my patience with it, and I'm just sort of sat there bored as fuck. But it's not a slight on anybody or anything like that when it happens. It's just purely I know I'm not in the right place for me at that moment, and so I will remove myself. I'll be like, right, guys, I
remember that. I remember being at a table and Ollie O'Neill walks in to this, and I'd never met him in person before. And he just walks in like a fucking like a preacher in a church. And just starts talking to everyone and addressing everyone in the group and going, this is what we're shaking his hands about. This is what we're doing, boys. And this is happening. And I'm like, well, this is Ollie O'Neill, all right. This is, you know,
yeah. You don't even need an introduction to Ollie to know.
I
that's
didn't.
Ollie.
Yeah, I didn't need an introduction. You know, and he's
Well,
fuck yeah.
I suppose
was a fucking fantastic night. All credit to the boys. You know,
out of curiosity, right, and pure curiosity.
Oh god,
how many people know, like, you know, as far as this friend group we've amassed is concerned, what's going on in October, like?
Not heaps. A few of them. Like I'm seeing Gaz. I'm seeing Toby and Zach. Of course, I'm seeing Zach. I'm meeting my goddaughter.
Wait, hang on a minute. You're gonna have to explain that one to me.
Do you not know this? I know
that Zach has a child, but I didn't know that.
And I'm the godfather. Yeah, mate. Did you not know about this?
I didn't know about the Godfather part.
Yeah,
Fucking
mate.
Hell.
Yeah, dude. That's right. Yeah, I changed my profile picture on Twitter. I got Mario to Photoshop me with my face on the Godfather cover.
Is that what it still is?
No, I changed.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, send me this beautiful custom hat. I wore it in my triathlon and my half marathon.
I didn't know that. No, yep. So are these people coming up to the Northampton ends, or are you going to go down to them?
No, I'm doing a few. I'm sort of seeing everyone separately. So I'm doing a bit of a loop. I'm seeing Eddie and Sheps in London first, staying with around them with them, staying with Eddie. He sent me a picture of Isla for a second birthday. Shout out to Isla. Got this like little tent thing in the house. You have in the corner, there toys in there and all the presents. Fucking gorgeous. And he goes, "This is where you'll be sleeping, Tyler." And I'm like, cool. That's great. Cool. He's like, "We found a great spot for you." I'm like, "That's fantastic." And then I'm gonna go. I probably shouldn't dox myself and say where I'm staying everywhere, but I'm staying somewhere on my own for my birthday. Like I booked a place. I just want to grab a car and have some time by myself, see a few things. And then I'm going seeing Toby and a few of the boys, I think, down that way.
Fair play. Why not?
And then I'm coming up to Northampton and then
that's when,
hanging out with you boys.
And that's when the raving begins.
Yeah, because I want it to be chill. You know what I mean? I didn't want it to be like a big, we all need to be here in one weekend. And it was like last time was awesome and I wouldn't change a thing, but it was mental. It was full on. It was I want this to be a chill trip where I can take my time with it. I also want to experience more of England and see the country. So I want to go around and yeah, but I also want to see all my friends. So I want to like take it slow and go around and see everyone.
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Yeah. So that's a long trip then.
It is a long trip. And then I'm going to
the States first as well?
I'm in the States first. So I go straight to Miami first. And then going on a cruise with my fucking best friend and going to Mexico, going to Cuba, going to Bahamas.
When do you start?
Mid-September, and then it goes to mid-October. So it's about a month.
A month of adventuring for you.
Yeah.
So you're going on a cruise. And
I've never wanted to go on a cruise in my life, but this is a cruise in the fucking Caribbean with your best mate, who's got you all everything sorted for you, everything lined up.
So you're going on a cruise, and then you're topping it off with the shiny ends of England, and then you'll find yourself in Northampton. Well, that's what happened
last time. I was in fucking the what's the shops near in Jonestown, so we can dox him. We talk about it all the time. It's a video, so it's not like doxing, but
Western
fucking Fable shopping centre. I was like, mate, a week ago I was at Madison Square Garden seeing John Mayer shred a guitar solo, like my favourite artist of all time.
Western Fable.
And now I'm in Western Fable fucking shopping centre. There's just fruit out in like there's no light anywhere. No one's changed a light bulb in 30 fucking years. I was like, what's happening? So I'm doing it again, but I'm doing it better.
I just loved that when we met up originally, when I came down by train the last time, my first step, our first stop from the train station wasn't to the hotel so I could get checked in or anything. No, he was like, right, I need to show you the shopping centre. So there you were, like, you were really pleased because you thought my face was going to drop. Like, I feel like on some level,
like, Ethan, you got to see this shit, right? It's
fuck?
only going to be this town. I didn't realise that was fucking everywhere. I was like,
I walked in and I was like, and I just sort of went, yeah, it's pretty miserable, but I've seen about 20 shopping centres like it. You know, there are some brilliant shopping centres. Manchester's got a couple that are all right. I mean, I suppose the Trafford Centre is. I mean, they're all shitholes if you look far enough into them. But you know, you get some nice looking shopping centres, but then you get places like Western Fayval, and there's another one that's kind of like Western Fayval, but bigger. Is one in like Warrington near me, about 20 miles away. That's that's funny, but no, they're just sort of shopping centres. I just think this place was probably built in the 80s.
I don't know. The vibes are different vibes. It just felt like, oh God, this isn't it. You know, I just realised
it's just a dead place. It's not got atmosphere to it. You just walk in, you do your shopping, but you buy your electronic cigarettes and you leave. You know, that's the crack with those places.
It makes sense.
They are brilliant little places, but you don't want to stay there for long.
No,
I do kind of like the Burger King there, though. I go there, I'll be like, "Can I have a Whopper, please?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can have a Whopper," and then I pay for the Whopper and eat the Whopper.
Yeah, well, it's Hungry Jack's here. We talked about that in the last podcast.
Yeah, Hungry Jack's.
It's called Hungry Jack's in Australia. Burger King, same company and everything. I'm pretty sure. But I realized we've been wearing sunglasses in these podcasts a bit. Ethan, I forgot to tell you that.
No, I haven't.
The top comment on the last episode was, if they need to keep wearing sunglasses every episode. So I have had sunglasses on. They started to hurt, so I took them on. But I was going to tell you before we started, but I sort of forgot because I had them on for so long.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any sunglasses about. Bear with me a second. I'm gonna have a little scan.
It's like it was hurting my eyes sitting there for ages. Like, oh shit, because my headphones are just pushing them into my scalp.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any sunglasses. I have them in the car, I know that much.
But don't worry about it. I've taken them off now, and it's so bright in here. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm so close to my face.
Yeah, I have them in the car, but I don't have them in the gaff, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't typically wear sunglasses very often. Like, it could be beaten down with like sun, and I'll just have a hat, or I won't really. I'm not too bothered by the sun. Like,
I guess I never sort of used to be, but I just like wearing them. It definitely helps, cool. especially driving.
They are cool. I always enjoy looking at George when he's got sunglasses on in some of these podcasts. I have noticed them, and I think to myself, he's probably baked under that.
Yeah,
but that's because George is just so laid back that he's probably baked out of his mind.
Not me though. Wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me.
Couldn't be you. No, it couldn't possibly.
It couldn't be me.
Couldn't be.
So, Ethan, I have a surprise for you as well. Do you? I have, because I've come to deliver to the podcast. I've come to deliver to you Tyler's recommended.
Oh, here we go. Let's go.
And this is different to George. I feel like this isn't something George has ever done. I've got a long explanation for it. George is a bit more random. That's why we love him. I want to be different.
You want to be specific.
I'm only doing this as a one-time only thing because George is never going to miss again. He's never going to miss another episode. But something that's been on my recommended a lot lately that I wanted to share with you all is Elvis.
Elvis.
Now,
is that the new film or the actual Elvis?
Well, a bit of both, but the actual Elvis. The actual
Elvis.
So, as a kid, I grew up with Elvis. As in, not that I'm that old, though. Some people believe I might be. What it was is my mother used to watch a lot of Elvis films when I was a kid. Like daytime Elvis movies would be on, and she just was a bit of nostalgia for her because she grew up on them. So she would play them, and my brother remembers it. I remember it. Like, I just always thought Elvis was the coolest fucking dude. Now, I'm not going to pretend and sit here like I've been some big fan. Like, I grew up on him, so I know Elvis, I know his story, and when the movies come out, I'm like, oh, cool, I'll definitely see it. I love Elvis. But now I've been really getting into him even more. Like, this is the first time I've been into him as an adult. Because it just reminded me, because it felt nostalgia to listen to Elvis and those songs that I listened to as a kid and I haven't heard in fucking 15 years. 20 years, really. And I just think Elvis is the coolest dude ever. Now, here's the thing. Elvis is obviously known as the king of rock, one of the most incredible performers, one of the greatest selling recording artists of all time, even still today, top 3. Elvis also was an actor and did a lot of movies. And when I say a lot of movies, I mean movies the amount that porn stars do, where he'd film them he'd film a movie every day. He'd film a new movie in a day. There was movies coming out his fucking zoo, you know? Like, there was so many movies he shot. I think he did like 100 movies in like 6 years. It was ridiculous. It was like, those are some serious numbers. And they were just shit. But they were great because Elvis in them and he sings in them all. And it's like, what's the point in having Elvis in a movie unless he's singing? There's no point. So he'd be in there and it would be like, imagine an old-fashioned James Bond Mission Impossible type movie where it's all just about hot, cool, tough dude that just gets all the chicks. But instead of action, he sings and fucking dances really good. And that's about it. And then, like, he just looks good and fucks bitches. Like, that's Elvis. That's what Elvis is. Now, I was with my parents, and we're all talking about their new Elvis movie. It's fucking awesome, by the way. I absolutely loved it. Austin Butler killed it. I was like, let's watch Hawaii Blue, one of the famous Elvis movies. It was that or Jailhouse Rock. Was sort of me and my parents were debating because they're like, yeah, let's watch an Elvis movie. Cool. Chuck on Hawaii Blue, famous for the performance of the song "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You." Ethan, that you may know, probably the most recognizable in pop culture Elvis song there is. Now, in this movie, let me explain a bit of the plot line to you before I send you the link to this scene that I want us to see. In Hawaii Blue, Elvis returns from the army, much like his story in real life. They did a lot of these returning soldier, was a soldier films with Elvis because he served 2 years and did 2/5 of fuck all in the army. And just pretty much just looked good and wore the uniform around, didn't do anything. Maybe he did. I don't know. He didn't. But he returns to Hawaii and his parents own a fruit company. Like, I think it's like a pineapple company. So he comes from a really wealthy background and he just wants to live in a shack on the beach and be by the waves with his girl and his mates, sinking piss, singing, dancing, enjoying the sun, surfing. That's all he wants to do. So he's like, nah, mum, dad, not doing that. But then goes out on his own because he knows the island. He loves Hawaii. And he becomes like a bit of a tour guide and meets this group of girls. And one of them's like real annoying. And she sort of is in love with Elvis, but really he's not. She's just got her own demons. No one loves her. She doesn't feel approved. So she acts out. Now, that's the plot line of the movie. Now, here's the thing where things get a bit dicey, Ethan. So this was a film from 1961. So that's 16 years after an event in history, an event in history, World War II. But even longer since something called Pearl Harbor happened, where the Japanese attacked Hawaii, attacked the United States, brought them into the Second World War.
Yeah.
In this movie, Elvis's parents are very wealthy, own a fruit company, as I said. They have a big mansion, very important people. They also have a butler. Now, this butler is a 4'5" legal midget Japanese man. And I'm like, oh no.
Oh dear. Yeah, that can never end well.
No, wait. Well, it gets better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. So this happens. He's the shortest Japanese man ever, and we're not really thinking much of it. We're like, that's a bit on the nose, isn't it? And then they make him speak French. So he has to say bonjour all the time. They force him to, even though none of them speak French. So they make him speak French to them. And we're like, this is so fucking weird. To torture him. I don't know.
To torture him?
I don't know.
Speaking French?
Yeah. Just to be annoying. Just to be, I mean torture him like just to be fucking annoying and make him do shit because they can. Like power play. Like real dominant shit. Now here's the thing, we're watching the movie, they say his name. My dad says, did they just call him Ping Pong? And I just spat out like I'm drinking a glass of water, but and we're like, oh no.
I'm looking at a list of Elvis Presley's movies. Why the fuck is Forrest Gump on here?
Oh, because he's in Forrest Gump, he's involved in a lot of historic events, and one of them is teaching Elvis's dance moves. So, like, they use old and doctor footage with Elvis, like Forrest Gump met Elvis.
Fair enough.
But what was I saying? Yeah, so his name's Ping Pong, and we're like, should we stop? Should we like not watch this movie? Like, what the fuck is this? You know, can't say any of these things. Can't do. Imagine a movie now where there's this like powerful white couple, and they've got a butler that's a 4'5" Japanese man named Ping Pong, and he make him speak French, and just abuse the fuck out of him. Imagine seeing that. Yeah,
I can't imagine seeing that today.
And like that's not, and it's not one of those ironic things. It's like to make them look bad. That's just how it is. That's supposed to be the.
That's just how it. It's like a product of its time rather than to villainize anyone at the time.
Exactly.
Or vilify anyone at the time. Retroactively, it works fucking wonders at vilifying somebody. But
so now, did we keep watching the movie? Yes, we kept watching the movie. Because Elvis is really cool. But what happens later is a scene where this girl who, as I was saying, he's showing them a touring around. She's in love with Elvis. She tries to hit on Elvis. Elvis has a girl that he's in love with and he wants to marry. And she's thinking that Elvis is cheating on her with this girl, but he's not. And then he sort of rejects her and she runs away and tries to pretty much kill herself. And this is Elvis rescuing her. This is the climax of the film. I just want to put that out there. There's been a semi-car chase for about 2 minutes. She sort of stopped, crashed, and now she's running into the ocean to drown herself. This is the scene where Elvis, the climax of the film, saves her life. This is what I want us to watch right now. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm kind of curious. It sounds like a bit of a mad film. I'm probably going to come out of this with a bit more understanding of the rest of it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Scene from Hawaii Blue. 3, 2, 1. Play. So he's just saved her from the ocean. That's so dramatic. That's it, Elvis. Tell her. Look at that heartfelt moment. He's trying to.
Is this meant to be motivational?
Well, I think it's supposed to be right at this point. Wait for it, dude. Dude, there's no way this is real.
What the fuck? That is not where I was expecting that to go.
Dude, watch this. Dude, look at the transition. Look at the transition. They're all fine and happy now. They're all fine and happy now. That was the resolution moment of the film.
Was that
it? Do you know how insane that is?
That's fucking mental.
And now she's her hair's changed. She's super likable. Everyone's happy. Because Elvis spanked her. That's insane, dude. Dude, we were watching this movie and it was so borderline. Like, it was so bad. But we're like, but it's Elvis. It was bearable. Like, it was like, we'll just push through because there'd be songs in between. Elvis is sick when he's singing. You just push through the movie. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. And then he gets to the climax of the movie and I try to hold in the whole movie.
And fucking good old-fashioned spanking cured depression.
I burst into tears laughing. I'm like, this can't be real. I watched this with my parents. We're laughing like, this is insane that this is happening right now. Look at her. She's so likable and happy now because she spanked. Nobody cared enough to spank me. Well, if that'll show you. And then he's like, you wouldn't dare. Ah! And then he spanked. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? That's the real legitimate climax of this film.
That is really kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, that just doesn't.
Just when it comes out of nowhere, I was like, this can't be real. I thought it was going to become a porno. Do you know what you need? An old-fashioned spanking. Like, that's what
I thought with all the pre-established context, you were gonna you're about to tell me that the Japanese butler was going to do it. Like, I was expecting that to happen. Like, I just wanted
to throw that in because
something.
I just wanted to explain how dicey this movie was leading up to this point.
Yeah, it's dicey.
Then you get to this, and it's like, do you know what you need? A good old fashioned spanking. And then I'm like, wait. Well, I literally said out loud, like, wait, what? I'm like, no, dude, this can't be real, dude. And he's just like, yeah, you need an old fashioned spanking. And then she's like, maybe I do. And I'm like, wait. What? And then he pulls her over and starts spanking her. I'm like, no way. What the fuck's happening? And then it just does a legitimate crossfade to a dinner table. She's all of a sudden dressed in nice clothes, nice hair, nice makeup. And they're all really happy. And Elvis is the head of the table looking at her proud like, see, look what I did. As the man, I've got 6 women at my table, my 6 wives. I can have all of them. I own them. They're my property. Like, this is fucked. And I love Elvis. And this doesn't change my opinion on Elvis. But just like, this is fucked. This is so, it's so outrageous to watch now. It's so outrageous to watch now.
That's outrageously hilarious. Because I suppose, I mean, look.
And people still celebrate this
stuff. It's a 60-year-old film. It can't hurt you. But
no.
That's questionable as fuck.
Yeah. Everyone here's dead.
Yeah, that was a questionable moment. I didn't expect it either. I knew it was coming the moment I heard that. I thought it was like supposed to be motivational, maybe a little bit emotional, whatever. And then Elvis just goes, "You know what you need? A good old fashioned spanking."
Yeah.
and then I just go, "Oh God, no! It's going there, is it?"
Yeah.
And then that's the climax of the film.
That's the climax moment of the film. That's what we're building up to for the last hour and a half was Elvis, and a lot of random songs, some great songs.
So it's an hour and a half worth of film that climaxes at that.
Yeah.
It's just mental.
Do you know what you need? A good old-fashioned spanking.
Yeah, that is honestly...
I want that to be a sound command. I can just hit a button anywhere I go. And it's just Elvis saying that.
It's just Elvis saying that. You could probably get like Elvis soundboards and they'd have some questionable things on there.
Yeah.
But no,
His butler's name was Ping Pong, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, obviously that. Oh my God, yeah, no. That's a questionable film. I'd imagine they're probably a dime a dozen when it comes to Elvis. There's probably about... Because he said he did a different film every day. So there's probably about 20 films that are just as questionable out there that involve Elvis somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. There's,
Elvis and his 6 wives in Hawaii.
Oh, God.
Loving life.
Yep.
Jesus. Like, I mean, the world has definitely changed.
Yeah, look, it's not, it's definitely not the same.
It's not the same Earth anymore. And you know what? Fair play to it.
Yeah.
Because that not only was that questionable, it was just bad. Like, I'm sure the film is enjoyable to a degree, but it doesn't strike me as particularly good.
Oh, it's one of the worst films you'll ever see, but I loved it personally.
Fair play. Oh, what the fuck? Elvis Presley for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I just thought that if we're going to do a Tyler's recommended, it's got to be something way different that you'd never get from George. I'm not trying to compete with George here. I'm just trying to bring my own flavor.
I can't pull off James's satirical commentary that probably would have made that a million times funnier, but it was entertaining.
Mate, all you've ever got to be is yourself. All I've ever got
to be is me, and that is all I will be. So that's why I guess I just go with it. But yeah, no. Elvis, apparently.
Elvis. Recommend seeing the movie if you had the time. Great movie.
I would, but I just worry what other questionable things you haven't mentioned.
Oh, I mean, he did a lot of speed. You know,
he did a lot of speed in the film.
Yeah, in the film.
Are we talking about the drug or moving at speeds? Oh, both. Nice one.
Yeah.
So there was a car chase that led up to that, was there?
Up to that, yeah, she drives off because she thought he was fucking her sort of guide teacher person that took her, when really he was fucking another girl, and she was fucking his uncle. And they were trying to tell each other that without telling each other that, and it was all very melodramatic. And she sort of saw, even though she's not involved with either of them, they said, "Why does everyone hate me?" And you know, it's because she's fucking annoying. But then she drives the car away, and because the whole movie, like literally, the group's there, and they get then like he's showing them around Hawaii, and it's him showing them, "Oh, do you want to try some fresh pineapples off the tree?" And they all get out of the car, and they're having a great time. Like, "This is great, Elvis is great," and she's just in the car like, "Oh, this is dumb, this is stupid." That's like her character the whole movie, being the worst. And then she sort of falls in love with Elvis just because he actually tries to make an effort to like get her to have fun. And then
with a good old-fashioned spanking.
She gets mad, drives away, he chases her, she crashes, tries to kill herself by throwing herself into the water, he pulls her around, then spanks her. And that saves and kills her.
That's the movie. There we go. Somebody sat down. Yeah. Somebody sat down in a fucking, in a room with like other people as they came together and they decided on the plot of this movie and they settled on that ending. Can you imagine that conversation?
Oh, yeah.
You know what you need? A good old-fashioned spanking. And then Elvis spanks her, and then there's a transition, and she's all happy, and then the credits roll. And somebody heard the delusional cunt who said that and went, "Yeah, man, sounds brilliant."
It's unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. But hey, fair play to it. Old movie, innit? I'm sure there are other films that are probably worse.
And like, does that make it fine then? You're like, can you watch them? You're like, well, you know, it's an old fucking movie.
I mean, like I said, it's 60 years old. It can't hurt you.
I mean, I feel that way. Like, I personally am not, but should I? That's my, like, should I feel that way?
Well, I suppose it really, it's very dependent. It's very dependent. Like, an old film is always gonna represent ideas of the time it was made or the world at the time it was made. Yeah. Even if it's not about the world at the time it was made, it will still reflect that world to a certain degree. And that could go in a variety of ways. Some are more obvious and ridiculous than others. For example, others aren't so much, but they still reflect the ideas of that time. And frankly, I think there is a certain degree where you could go one way with it and be like, right, I won't watch this film because I don't agree with the ideas of the time. But also there's the other angle of it doesn't change the time that it was, does it?
Yeah,
it doesn't change
exactly.
the films. Doesn't change the film.
Well, it's
the
like anything.
Exist,
You move the goalpost. When someone said that thing, you could say that. And it's like, you can't get mad at them now for it. You cannot agree with it now. You cannot do it now. That's the right thing to do, for sure. But you can't change history. You can't rewrite it. It happened. A lot of fucked up shit happened in history. You need to remember it so you don't do it again. Doesn't mean you have to celebrate it. That's fair. But it doesn't mean you can't fucking know about it. And it can't be seen and understood.
And if there's one thing that movies have always been quite good at, it's almost representing the you see it today anyway, like, you know, with your Marvel movies or various other movies and TV shows. Yeah. You see that filmmaking is very much so influenced by the by the ebb and flow of society itself. Like, whatever society is doing, films are doing a similar thing, representing similar ideals. Whatever's the accepted thing at the time will be represented.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just went and watched the movie Nope, Jordan Peele's new movie, on Friday night, and I'm like, oh, you could not have made this movie 10 years ago. I mean, you could literally have not made it 3-4 years ago. This is a movie you could only make now. This is definitely a representation of now, and there's a lot of movies that are like that, and I think Nope was a really great movie. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, what's it about?
I mean, you don't want to say too much because it's like, that's almost the fun of the movie, is finding out what it's about.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, have you seen Jordan Peele, like Get Out and Us? Have you seen his other ones? They're a bit sort of horror thriller, a little bit to them, but there's a lot of meaning behind them, a lot of social commentary behind them.
I don't believe I have. However, it is Sunday, and I've not got very much else going on. So
I'd recommend watching Get Out. That's his best one. I think that's still his best one.
I might look into it. You know,
but
I might start having a little bit of a Jordan Peele.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Us. Like, it did get a bit ridiculous at the end, but I enjoyed. I enjoyed Nope. I really liked it. I just thought it was a good movie. It was really well done. And it was a bit of a spectacle in some ways as well. And just, sort of, and Get Out's a bit more like weird town racial type thing. Like it's a black man going with his white girlfriend to her hometown with her family, and everyone in the town's a bit fucking weird.
I believe I saw trailers for that film.
Yeah, it's a great fucking movie.
And I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Yeah, I recognise the film. I've never seen it.
And it's the same main actor from Get Out in Nope. And in this movie he lives on a farm, and it sort of involves seeing a UFO. And that's sort of the beginning sort of point. So that's all I'll give you. So it's sort of about a UFO. That's all I'll say.
I guess I'll have to
see the movie and find out the rest.
I guess I'm going to have to look into it, because I do quite like a thinker. A film that makes you think is the best kind of film.
Yeah.
I always, if a film doesn't engage my brain to the point where I'm thinking too, like, I don't have to realise I'm thinking, but as long as I'm thinking, I'm engaged in that film. If I find myself switching off, then I might enjoy it, but I'll never remember it.
Yeah.
And that to me is not what makes a great movie. A great movie is something you remember. It makes you think. It makes you realise in failure to think or consistently think. It makes you realise it has to establish something. One of my favourite movies of recent memory, I think, was 1917. I think it was, like that one shot consistent take of, like, that is just a brilliant film. Things like that movie. where it makes you realise things. It makes you think things as well. Yeah. And it just goes, Jesus, what a tough time, you know. It's probably really downplaying, actually.
Yeah.
But what a tough time.
It
Fucking
was.
1917 review.
Yeah.
No, but the point is, I like a film that is unique and has an atmosphere and makes you think.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be checking out Get Out. I think first and foremost, because I do remember seeing some, like, advertisement for it, and I think I should probably get around to giving it an absolute watch. And I like subtle horror. I'm not a big fan of horror, but I like subtle horror.
This is definitely that. This is definitely way more subtle about it. And Jordan Peele's he's just done a great job with these are the 3 movies he's made. And I think he's just done such a fantastic job with them and really set himself a style. And I think he's beginning to establish himself as a feature, like, as a legit star director that you go to films. Like, I feel like he's already there really in some ways. He's not, one day he may be in the conversations of as we look now, we think of Christopher Nolan, who he's making the Oppenheimer film at the moment, which is just going to be
just those directors, directors who sell a product
Tarantino,
that only
Scorsese,
that director
obviously.
can make.
But Jordan Peele's making a name for himself. He's up there. Will he ever get to a Tarantino, Nolan? I don't know about that. I don't think he's had that film yet that's made an impact that those. Certainly probably not Scorsese. But, like Guillermo del Toro, if I know Guillermo del Toro's made a film, I'm going to see it. And that's the same with Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, I saw Nope and I saw Us because I saw Get Out and I was like, wow, Jordan Peele's definitely made a statement here. That was a statement film. Get Out's a statement fucking film. It's a great movie. And I thought Us and Nope were also great movies. And so, I mean, he's already there in the sense of, if I know Jordan Peele's making it, I'll go to see it. Because I know it'll be interesting. And this particular movie, I'd seen the trailer for and I was like, okay, fuck yeah, I want to see what Jordan Peele does with this sort of idea of a UFO.
I like when directors have a specific style, and that style makes all of their films unique, especially when compared to other directors and things like that. And then every film has a focused idea on top that makes it unique, not only in the genre, but within that director's repertoire as well.
Yeah.
And I quite like seeing a variety of films made by the same individual or directed by the same individual, let's say. But the films are so vastly different, but you can still tell that it was directed by the same person. Like, I don't pay too much attention to, say, directors and things like that, but maybe I should, because it's a different angle to view films from. So if you're looking at it from the perspective of, I'm watching this for the director, you're going to notice things that you wouldn't notice if you're only focusing on the film because it's a sequel to another film or it's part of a franchise. Guess so.
But you watch a Tarantino movie you'll know it's a Tarantino movie very quickly without even having to like be told it's Tarantino.
Obviously,
he's got a very that in your face.
I'd say Tarantino's got a very. The films are always, doesn't matter what they're about. I always find them to be somewhat laid back, if that makes sense. Like they
do very serious things, but make them feel very casual. Like there'll be murders and blood everywhere, and it's just like, yeah, it's fucking Wednesday.
This happened, but it's besides the point to worry about it.
Yeah, and no one can get away with that. That's why you know it's Tarantino. You're like, it's not even someone trying to be Tarantino, because no one's allowed to be Tarantino in Hollywood but Tarantino.
No, that's fair enough.
Like that's the point. That's why you want to see him, because you're like, he's the only one that can get away with doing this, in your face shit like this.
It's that casual approach, that it's an uncompromising casual approach, is what it is. And I like when a creative vision isn't compromised by, say, fucking big studios. Let's be real. Yeah. I cannot stand like long-term franchises anymore. Like I've checked out of Marvel. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'll watch the film. I'll watch the films. Don't get me wrong. Maybe I'll watch the shows, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. You're invested.
It's like going to a Mackey's. It's there. It's easy. It's not amazing, but it's easy. You know, it's easy, and it always will be easy. So even if it is a bad film, it's still easy. And that is, and I think I won't knock a film for being easy, but I get that with, like, say, Marvel's obviously a big one, the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the moment, and then obviously Star Wars as well. It's easy, maybe a little bit harder the films themselves, but as far as the Disney Plus shows are concerned, it's easy. Even Kenobi, I quite like Kenobi. I still think it's a little easy rather than something that I'm going to remember.
Yeah.
There are moments I will remember out of that, and I'm grateful for that. But for the most part, it was just readily consumable content that could be applied to anybody. It's just a little bit of an action show, and I quite appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I do like watching films that are unrelated to anything that I've seen before, that have like a point.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Because those are usually the ones that allow for the most creativity and creativity over just being some simple format that gets repeated between now and forever.
Yeah. No, I getcha. It's these franchises are tough to follow. It's just tough to be invested in these things that feel like, I know the world's changing, man. It's just these things matter less. These sorts of entertainment, I feel like it's just different how we consume it and what's going to make us care as well. There's a cultural shift as well as companies shitting the bed. Like there's a middle ground there of like, yes, I think Marvel and Disney sort of shitting the bed and fucking things up a bit in their own way and making mistakes that they didn't used to make, but also I just feel like we're moving on anyway.
Yeah, I think that's probably why. Above all else, I think we've
got enough shit to worry about. Like, don't you stop giving us all this? It's too much.
Oh yeah, the MCU is just a bit too convoluted for me to care about these days. So I think that doesn't help. Yeah. I think it's past an expiry date and now it's turned into like a yeast infection. Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's rampant and stinky. That's the best explanation I can give. And it makes no sense because it's branched off in too many directions now that you couldn't possibly bring them back together, even if you wanted to. And you shouldn't. But then that negates the point of doing it in the first place. But also doesn't. And that's what makes it confusing. Yeah. Because what I said makes no sense, and that's what Marvel films are.
Yeah, well, it definitely feels that way now. It feels like every podcast we're like, yep, the MCU is fucked.
I mean, I don't typically talk about it because it's not my area of expertise.
You even said at the start of the show you don't want to talk about it. Somehow we've ended up. I don't even know how this happened.
I mean, I don't remember saying I don't want to talk about the MCU. It is one of those things that I will not talk about. I won't go out of my way to talk about, but we've got onto the topic through a legitimate means, and we have. We've been talking about Elvis saving the day with a good old spanking. Yeah.
Sounds like you need a spanking.
Sounds like you need a good old spanking. Next time a mate of mine is feeling down, I'm just going to say, sounds like you need a spanking.
Sounds like you need a good old... You wouldn't dare! Oh, you think I wouldn't? And then...
What a strange world. But there was a time where that film was just perfectly normal. Nobody batted an eyelid. And now we've got films
Ping Pong was the name of his fucking servant.
Ping Pong.
It's 1961. It's a coloured movie.
Oh, no.
It's not that old.
This is strange turf. I mean, it is 60 years old.
It's 60 years old.
61.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
1961 doesn't feel like that long ago.
It does, though.
Does it?
I mean, I won't know how 1961 feels.
I just mean, like, it doesn't feel like that.
That was the year my mum was born. It wasn't the year I was born.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents weren't even born then.
It doesn't feel like... It doesn't feel like, say, the 1940s do with regards to proximity to now. Like, you think, oh, the 1940s, well, that was that time ago. You feel like that. But that's because everybody got to 2000 and stopped counting, I think. Yeah. I think you get to 2000 and go, right, okay, everything is 40 years ago.
I know.
1960 will forever be 40 years ago.
Yeah, dude, I totally know what you're saying. I forget that we're 22 years into this century, and it's like, oh, no, it's just 2000. It's just the year 2000, right?
So that millennium bug, it's going to really cause some problems on these computers one of these days. I'm just waiting. Yeah. No, that's kind of what it is. Like we'll be halfway through this century and still feel like it's the start of it. I think probably dying in a fucked up world, but the heat death of the universe can't come soon enough.
Oh yeah,
but I think even in 20, 30 years, we're still going to be sat here going, so was 1961 39 years ago then? And we'll be like, no, it was 90 years ago.
Yeah.
and
I'll be like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Yeah. Time's weird, man.
And Elvis films will still be watched and we'll still be chuckling away at them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch them here and there for a laugh.
I think when the aliens inevitably come, we should introduce them to that Elvis film.
I mean, they've already come, mate. Let's be honest with ourselves.
No,
I want to believe. I want to believe.
So what? Actually, that's an interesting point. What are your beliefs on aliens?
I don't know. I've never really, to be honest.
I've never seen one.
I've never really had a phase of like looking at aliens. I've seen a few videos here and there. I've listened to people on fucking Rogan over the years talk about UFOs. I've listened to conspiracy theorists. I don't really know anything. I think
they're out there. I just don't think they'd come here.
I mean, I definitely believe like there's obviously other planets with other species. Obviously,
I reckon they caught wind of Twitter well before they got here and changed course.
That's not a question. We've been close to fucking proving life in our fucking solar system at times, and that could just be even fucking bacteria, but living organisms for sure. All over the universe, there's infinite amounts of species and organisms that live, and things we can't even comprehend as well. But are any of them aliens that physically can just fly spaceships and come here? I don't fucking know. I have no idea. I don't know if that's ever happened. I don't think we're that important that would happen.
No, I don't think anyone's going to be like say you've ascended, right? You're at the pinnacle of your civilization. There is nowhere in the galaxy or even the universe that you cannot reach within a reasonable amount of time. You can go from one end of the galaxy to another faster than the speed of light, let's say. Are you coming to Earth?
Why would you even need that ability to do it?
Why would you go to the planet run by people who would lock you up and dissect you?
Yeah, no, they're not good. Yeah, they're not. I just don't think we're that important. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. I also don't know if I even care that much, to be honest. So I just want to believe because it's funny. I want to believe because I'm like, sure, why not? Who cares? Doesn't matter. I don't really care. I don't really believe
I mean,
or not believe.
I always find it to be an interesting subject, but when I start to think about it proper, I definitely fade out of my interest in it a bit. I go, yeah, listen, they're out there somewhere. They've got to be. That's my belief. But I don't think they've ever been here. And furthermore, even if they could get here, something tells me they'd find out about Twitter before they got here and change course.
Yeah.
So I reckon we'll be okay. Aliens aren't invading us. We're already living in our own hell.
Yeah.
It's similar to my beliefs about a god. If there was one, he left a long fucking time ago to start again. And that's probably them. They're not coming here anytime soon.
Yeah.
And if they did, it's because, and they will know that it's because their god has forsaken us.
Yeah. Oh God.
I am such a philosophical dickhead sometimes, and it's not out of intent. It's because I want to say something absurd, and I know that my beliefs on things can be absurd, and that is that if that is the case, not saying that it is, it's because of this absurd reason. It's not because of anything grounded in my beliefs or science.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we've talked extensively, I feel like recently, or at least on like the Clubhouse podcast about religion and things like that. I'm a very strong atheist, and I don't really believe in. I just believe in what's there and what we know and what we can prove. And I'm also very. I'm not arrogant. I feel like in the way of like I feel like we don't know fucking anything. There's just so much we just don't know, and I'm like, why even worry about it? You're never gonna know. You will waste your life and energy thinking about these things like they matter. They don't. No,
it's just I suppose for some people it's just a way to morality. I suppose it's
the meaning of life is whatever you choose to make it for yourself. You give yourself purpose. Everything you do, you can put a purpose and a meaning to everything you do in your life every day. That's up to you what the meaning of your life is going to be. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And you do the little things, do everything with purpose and do it with meaning, and life's better that way than if, being like, who cares, doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, it's what you make it. Everything I do, every bit of work, if you're going to do it, it's worth doing 100%. Fucking just do it.
My life's meaning is just George's would be just vibing. Mine would just be, I love being creative, so that's my meaning of life. Everyone has a different meaning to their life, it's whatever they want it to be. And one person's and somebody else's will be different. Maybe they'll be similar, but they could be vastly different. For example, I love being creative. It's it's probably the only thing that I think I'm really, really good at.
Yeah,
is taking something, whether it's something that's already there or something else, and then having a picture in my head of how I could turn that into something, like say a video or something else. And I love doing that. I love doing that process. That's probably my biggest talent, is doing that. And I cannot imagine a life in which I can't do that. That would be so boring. Imagine a life in which I don't make the content that I make, whether on Decades or Fishy. I hate referring to that channel in the third person for some reason. I love the channel. I just never have referred to it in the third person, so it feels weird.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine a world in which I'm not doing that. So even when I was having a hard time and making content, I was like, I know I still want to do this.
Yeah.
I know this is still a part of who I am. It's just, obviously I was struggling with finding a way to make it work. And then as soon as I did find a way to make it work, I went, right, business as usual, but let's evolve it. Let's create Decades. Let's do the history side of things. I said I was going to start making history content in 2022, and while it took longer than I expected, I actually accomplished that, and now I have a different facet for my creativity. I have a massive passion for history. Like, I love history. I find it really fascinating, but I think I've got a bigger passion for making content. So when it comes to making history content, I don't have to choose between the two anymore. I can do both in one.
Yeah, you can.
And it's doubly rewarding as a result.
Yeah.
It's one thing going to a place, but I love seeing how this content comes together.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what you have given yourself. And you do it with purpose. You do, and I feel like you're a person that does most of what you do. You give it some sort of meaning and some sort of purpose, and if you're going to do it, you're going to put all your energy into it and really something you believe
you can
in.
definitely get a huge insight into my personality from the content I do. Like, for example, with the Red Dead content, I love a good mystery, you know, like I love game lore, and I love games that absolutely sprinkle it with like mysteries and stuff. I'm working on a bit of a secrets video for a different game at the moment, and I love like games that have secrets and hidden things in there, and that's the content I want to do most often on my main channel. But I also love just cutting loose and having some fun. Some of my most recent videos on Marvel Spider-Man when it released for PC, and it's literally just me messing around and loving it. But you could definitely gather a lot from my personality. I don't take life too serious. And I love a good mystery. I also don't care to solve it so much. I'll give you what's known, and I'll leave it at that. I'll give you some theories, but I won't pretend to know. I'll never be like, oh, this mystery is solved, and then clickbait that thumbnail out there and then get loads of views from that. I was like, is it fuck? It's anybody's guess. And then you get to the end of those videos and the narrator always goes, oh, we don't know, maybe. And you think, yeah, well, you just misrepresented your content in your title and your thumbnail. I don't like misrepresenting what I'm doing, which is why some of the content I feel struggles to get views sometimes. Other times it doesn't. Like with the Red Dead content, that'll never struggle for views. But with other things, if it struggles for views, it's because I don't like misrepresenting what I'm selling. I like being honest and just me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's what your content is. I feel like your content is you. Unapologetically.
Yes, it's a further embodiment of me and my sense of humor, which can get a bit fucked up at times, and I won't hide from that. Like my sense of humor is a lot more fucked up when I'm not making content than when it is. I won't pretend it isn't. I won't pretend I won't pretend
you're the same. You're the same off camera as you are on camera. I feel like we all are, though. I feel like that's a good thing about the
I mean, yeah, there are degrees. Like I will, when it comes to jokes especially, there are things that I think will suit the content, but it's still me. There are things I'll say off camera that I'll never say in front of a camera, because I know that it will not be received well by everybody. But it's still me, you know, like it's still the same person making those jokes. But I'm careful about where I put them, because I know that in the wrong place, if a joke is especially twisted, I don't want to feed some, you know, an attitude, if you will. If I think it's a bit too twisted and might feed an attitude, I'll be very, very careful with it. But if I think it's just callous and, you know, and maybe a bit crass, I'll go for that. Because crass is very much so my sense of humor.
Well, you know yourself as well very well, I feel, and you know what your balance is, and you know what you sort of know when and what to push and pull with humor, when to do things, when not to do things. You know, you've got a good EQ with things like that.
Yeah, I'm very much so not. I always think to myself, I know I've gone too far when I find my own joke funny. Yeah. That's me. Yeah. Sometimes I'll say something that people find funny. That I think
my own jokes, then no one else is going to laugh as loud as I am at my own joke. That's just me. That's just me. If I find something, I only say things I find funny. I'm like, that's
no. I'll say ridiculous. Things I find it funny, but not to the point where I'll laugh personally. But if I laugh personally at my own joke, I know I've gone too far. Yeah, right. That's just sort of how I work. It's like I will say things I find funny, but maybe it's to a more coping degree. Maybe it's just because in my head I think it's funny when I say it. I don't laugh at it because I think sometimes delivering that joke without laughing can make it even funnier. Well, so if I laugh at it, I feel like I've definitely gone too far because I can't help myself.
But I guess that my thing is, like, I like to ride the wave of a laugh. So, like, if something happens, we're watching these Elvis videos and I find something funny, we could have just laughed at the scene and moved on, but I want to keep laughing at it. So I want to break it down. I like to ride the wave. I want to mine it for all it's worth. I'm like, I'm laughing. Let's keep that shit going as long as we can. How can we do that? Let's analyze the laugh. What's funny about it? So you do like
you like to analyze the funny, whereas I will very much so pass over it. Yeah. I will say something that I think will hit, and then I'll shift onto something else like it never happened, so people spit the drinks out or something like that. Oh yeah. I love spit your drink out funny. Like that is the best kind of joke they're going.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll always drop a joke in somewhere where people don't expect it. There's about 100 in this Pendle Watch video. Well, there's not actually 100, but they're well placed, and there's definitely more than 2.
When do you think that video will be coming out?
Probably the 18th. I think I announced it for the 18th. Yeah, because that would be the 18th of August. That video will be coming out.
So it'll probably be the day or same day as this podcast is coming out, or the day after this podcast is coming out. So it'll be around now. Go check out Decades, everyone. Go subscribe if you're not subscribed already to the YouTube channel. And check out the Decades history videos with Ethan as the producer and Connor as the superstar.
Yeah, well, Connor's more like he's like a messiah at this point.
He's definitely got, like you said, the cult of personality.
The cult of personality is brewing, and it's actually kind of disturbing. But I know it's like a joke thing, but I still find it a bit disturbing that you can throw a man like Connor Jones in front of a camera, and people go, "Give us Connor Jones, praise Connor Jones," and I'll feed that. And Connor's the kind of guy that, you know, even in the joking format, that'll never go to his head. Like, Connor finds it funny. Connor likes it. Connor knows how to feed it in a way that doesn't create this more parasocial side to it as well. And that's something that that's the only reason why I can let it happen, is because I know it will never be parasocially. Like, it'll never be an actual cult of personality in which you've got people repeating Connor's jokes across the internet.
He's got a ceiling. Yeah, he's got a ceiling.
Connor's got limits.
And you feel like it's a safe ceiling. Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely safe with Connor, because I know that he's like me when it comes to the sense of humor side of things. And he also does appreciate privacy. So when it comes, he'll never overshare about his life. Like I'll never overshare about my life. Like I do share certain elements, things like that. And obviously, you know, you can know a lot about me. There's a lot that are open, but there are some aspects that I keep private, for, you know, not for the sake of keeping it private, because I don't see any point to share it, I suppose. And I know that it's better to not have everybody know everything sometimes. Like, the more people know, the more that parasocial comes in. Yeah. And so I'll always just be a guy on the internet who makes videos, whether it be history, whether it be gaming. It's like I won't pretend to be everyone's best friend and all that.
You know what you like about it, and you know who you want to be in the space. You're not going to pretend to be someone else, and you're not chasing some fucking fame and money or anything. You do it because you love it, and you do it because it's real, and that's why you're successful at it.
I'll never say no to the money. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll never say no to the money. But I don't want to be famous personally. Do I want the content to be famous? Sure.
You want lots of people to see it, you know?
I want loads of people to see it. I want people to remember it. Yeah. I want people to know my main channel. I want people to know Decades. Do I care if people know Ethan Woodgates? Do I fuck?
No. Do I fuck?
You know, it's just the best way to go about it.
I don't know, dude. You're asking the question, do you?
No, exactly. My answer is no. I don't care if people know who I am.
Yeah.
Like, as me. Like, I don't care if people know who I am as me. Yeah. I've got this podcast for that. People can know who I am here, and I'm more than happy to share. And this podcast is nice for that. It is. But when it comes to isolating within the content of Decades, I don't want people to watch that because of necessarily me. Like, if they want to watch it because of me, fair enough. Enjoy. I want people to watch it because that content delivers. I want people to watch my content on my main channel because it delivers. Yeah. And if you enjoy my personality, it's bonus points, and that's definitely something to add in there. And there are some videos that I do put up there for people who want to watch the content for me, which is the comments, or me messing about in games. They're very consistent in getting similar amounts of views, and that's the people who watch the content for me, and that's perfectly fine. But the rest of the content I want people to watch because it delivers this consistent quality and is reliable. And that's carrying over into Decades, because it's not always going to be about me. And I mean, no video on there is about me. It's about historical things and things like that. I'm just hoping that Decades as a name, people can watch Decades videos for Decades, because it delivers on a promise of good content. Yeah. And that's what I want.
That's awesome. And that's why you should subscribe to Decades.
Go right now and watch.
And obviously,
watch all of the videos so we can get monetized.
That's right.
The hours watched we're at like 3,200 hours watched. We need another 800 hours watched, and then we can start earning a minuscule amount from it. But that means we don't have to worry about ever doing that battle again. And
yes,
to me, that's why I'm sort of like pushing for it as much as I can,
that's right.
promoting it as much as I can. I want to get that channel monetized, so I never have to worry about it again.
So go do it. Go help them out. Are there any other videos you want to plug before we wrap up this episode of the Four Pillars podcast, Ethan?
Oh, I mean, everyone could check out every single Decades video. That'd be nice. And your friends. Get your friends to watch. Tie them down in the basement. Give them a tablet. Make them watch Decades forever. That would be nice. Or on my main channel, you could watch a video in which I go over why LA Noire deserves a sequel. That's another video I'm really pleased with. Because LA Noire deserves a sequel. So watch that video. That would be really nice. But besides that, no, I'm quite happy going.
Perfect. Love it. That's great. There's a lot to watch, a lot you're working on. If you want to support me, obviously head over to, well, you don't need to go to my channel, just this channel, Four Pillars Network. Subscribe, like this podcast, support all the podcasts on this channel. Patreon.com/, as always, Tyler_4P, the number 4P on Instagram, Twitter, if you want to follow me there.
Oh, yeah, because Tyler Dynamite is gone.
Yeah, Dynamite's retired, so that's gone.
Can I still dead name it, or would you rather we never mention Tyler Dynamite?
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Right, okay.
It's a beautiful piece of my history. It was 10 years, a decade of literally 10 years of my life. So
yeah, it's a decade of your life in which you were Tyler Dynamite, and now we're not. There's probably an account out there that's taking it.
Yeah, that's right. They can.
Shall we see if there? Before we go, shall we see if there is a Tyler Dynamite?
No,
I actually want to know.
But there will be now. Someone's going to take it now. Now that you've said it.
Nobody's taken Tyler Dynamite yet.
No one's going to take it.
But somebody certainly should, so that there's no going back. I think that'll be quite funny.
Yeah, and you'll just be tagged in all my past tweets.
That's the best bit. Do it. You know you want to. If your name's Tyler, change your app to Tyler Dynamite. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, let's get out of here.
All right.
I'm sweating my back off.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Another episode of the Four Pillars podcast. Next week for the As Always podcast. And this week already, that just a couple days ago, that just went Clubhouse, Patreon. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.